I feel legitimately tired today. Probably because I was very productive today, a lot more productive than I usually am. And there are several reasons, I guess. But I guess, I actually made a list of the things that I did today, just so I could see if actually you thought it was productive, because this is more productive than I have been in a while, but it's probably not that productive compared to other people. So here's what the list says. I spent half an hour in the morning. I spent a half an hour learning Japanese because every morning of every workday I will learn Japanese. There's this MP3s that you can listen to that teach you Japanese by also making you speak Japanese at the same time. It's a good series. It's a Pimsleur learning approach. I think I talked about it in a previous episode of this podcast. Anyways, I spent a half an hour doing that. And then I spent an hour and a half learning some more Bootstrap. I'm learning Bootstrap so I can finally get to the ratchet, so I can finally build my phone app and then maybe get a job as a programmer eventually that pays more than the job that I have right now. So I spent a half an hour I learned about buttons, I learned about button groups, badges, progress bars, list groups, and breadcrumbs, and how to implement them all. And I had to write down a lot of code just to figure it all out, like how it all worked and stuff, and do the blah 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 blah. Let me see what else. And then I spent half an hour buying fries for Jubilee Burger because my boss Mitch, actually he's the guy who owns the ISP that I work for, that I answer phone calls for. He has several companies. He owns several companies. One of those companies is a burger joint called Jubilee Burger. And so he likes to use his employees. He likes to stretch as much work out of his employees as possible. So he will have me at least 2 times a week deliver like 10 boxes of fries. And it's also because I happen to have access to a giant van that can carry 10 boxes of fries. But 10 boxes of fries isn't that much. You can carry it in the car. Whatever. So I have to go. So every 2 times every week, I have to go to this store called Cash and Carry. I have to go load 10 boxes of fries into my van and then drive it over to Jubilee Burger, then load it into their freezer or whatever. So I spent about half an hour doing that. I mean, I'm being kind of generous. It doesn't take that long. I'm trying to make it sound longer than it should. It takes about 15 minutes. But it takes the driving takes part some time, and the loading takes some time, and it's suffering a bit, whatever. I spent about half an hour doing it, and then I spent 2 hours because then Mitch all of a sudden wanted me to start becoming good at working at Jubilee, because he wanted me to be able to do more work at Jubilee in case I was needed, in case someone called out sick or something. So I suddenly found myself having to learn how to take orders, how to write tickets, how to use the cash register correctly, how to use the card reader correctly. I had to learn all that stuff, and then how to make milkshakes correctly, how to take, because he uses Uber apps, Uber Eats. He does deliveries for Uber Eats. How to do that correctly. How to write out an Uber Eats card as opposed to a regular, receipt. How to do all sorts of stuff. And then, on top of that, I had to learn how to cook burgers, how to wrap burgers, how to place burgers correctly into the bags, And at the same time, I was also doing all this stuff. Because training for Mitch, he just has you do it right in front of every single customer ever. He has you mess up in front of customers. That's what he does. That's the way he trains you. And I don't know. I haven't really worked anywhere else but here, as far as stereotypical cash register type jobs go. So I don't know if this is the normal way that training goes, but I really hope it isn't. I really hope that if you go to McDonald's, they train you. They actually do some official training, because this is the most unofficial kind of training stuff ever. But anyways, I spent 2 hours doing all that. And then I went to my actual job at Advanced Stream, which is the internet service company that I work for, the ones also owned by Mitch, and spent 6 hours answering phone calls, taking credit card payments, fixing people's technical problems, transferring people when they needed to be transferred, whatever, that kind of stuff. But there's a lot of downtime during that, so I spent the downtime of those 6 hours fixing my YouTube music history playlist, because as you all know, I am still trying to make this history of Western classical music playlist that lets you be able to experience the evolution of Western music all the way from like the medieval period, all the way through the Baroque, through the classical, through the Romantic, all the way to the modern period. I wanted to just like catalog the evolution of that and have a playlist that perfectly encapsulates exactly what that feels like. So you listen to this playlist and you understand how music went, what music was, what it became, and what it is now. That's what I wanted the playlist to be. And so I spent like the 6 hours or whatever, the downtime from when I wasn't entering phone calls, fixing this playlist. Because when you make a YouTube playlist, it's never good to make a YouTube playlist, I think. It might be better just to upload actual videos and then make them into a playlist, because YouTube playlists are this fickle thing. What inevitably happens is one of the videos will become private, because these are videos from like multiple different users and from multiple different histories, multiple different backgrounds. Inevitably, one of the videos is either going to be deleted or going to be private. And the problem with that is you can't tell once a video goes private, it's still listed in the playlist, but you're not able to tell what the title is of the video, or who made it, or where it came from, or so like it's like you just have this memory, this block of memory in your memory trying to remember what this video is, and I didn't ever want to do that, so I had to make a list of all the video titles that I put in this playlist so that I wouldn't have to like rack my brain trying to figure out which one was which. And I actually this did actually happen. I took a look at my playlist, and one of the videos in there is private. Video number 17 is private. So it is a good thing to take this precaution, to make a list of all of the videos in your playlist and the titles of them. But I had made the list of all these videos with the titles of the videos. But when I looked at it, I wasn't able to really determine who was the composer, what was the song, whether there were multiple songs in the composer or whatever, what I was supposed to get with the video. Just having the video titles there didn't give me enough information, so I had to fix all that. I had to mark the composer as like an underlined thing, and because like all these composers from Western classical music history are like either German, French, Octitian, I don't even know if that's the correct phrasing for it, Russian. They're all foreign, right? And they're all names that I'm not going to be able to recognize as names. So I had to underline every single one of these names. I have like about 70 videos or so on the playlist. So I underlined all of the videos on the name. I mean, all of the names of the composers. And then I boldened all of the actual song titles so that you can tell what's the song title and what's the thing. And I actually had to add little notes to the end of certain video titles, because some of the YouTube video titles don't actually have the song title or the name of the composer in their title. They're in the description. So like I had to do a lot of work doing that, and it was painful. And that's the kind of work that's not very fun to do. It's not rewarding. It's the least rewarding kind of work, is this, because all it is just this monotonous thing where you're just adding this, and it makes your soul turn into like a gray husk of emptiness as you're doing it, especially if you spend 6 hours doing it, and especially if you're answering phone calls at the same time simultaneously. It's like a huge mess. So my head feels like a huge mess, and I feel tired, and that's pretty much all I did. That's pretty much all I've done in this day. Let me see. Yes, oh my goodness, I have pretty much taken up 10 minutes to explain that, so that's good. I'm glad that that's a thing. Now there's about 30 seconds left of this video, so I don't know what I'm going to talk about anymore. What am I going to even do? I really need to get, I'm going to talk about another thing that I really need to get better at making these videos, because I feel like the way that I explain things doesn't really give enough information. I need to calm down, first of all, because whenever I make one of these videos, I get super excited, but also super nervous. And when someone's super nervous, they say stupid things that don't make any sense, and they get desperate trying to say something that makes some modicum of sense, and then they just like it goes out of control into this loop of nothingness that expands into the empty blah of blee. You see, it's happening right now with me. So I need to stop doing that. And I think the very first way to stop doing that is to calm down. You know what? I kind of figured out that while learning Japanese. These MP3s that I listen to, they say like, say this thing in Japanese. And then they give you a few seconds to say it. And then they say it, so you can find out if what you said was correct. And that always makes me nervous, and I always mess up with it. Like, I have to listen to these MP3s because they recommend that if you can't get like 80% of what they've said, then you re-listen to the MP3. I've had to re-listen to some of these MP3s like 3 or 4 times because I get so nervous whenever someone puts the pressure on me to construct a sentence in Japanese. And so I figured out that I actually have to calm down. If I'm calm, and if I don't let that, like, grab on to the nervousness and be nervous about it, then it's fine. It works absolutely fine. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to work on becoming more calm, especially while making these. These are another thing that I need to get more calm at. But anyways, that's it. It's been 11 minutes and 21 seconds. I hope you enjoyed the extra minute, because I certainly did, I guess. I don't know. Goodbye.